everyone, I am here today to explain how to play the solo mode of Museum. So I have before me everything that you need to play Museum in solo mode. We had a lot of requests for this during the Kickstarter campaign, so I'll give you all the details that you need to know how to play. So here we go. In solo mode, you end up faced with Alphonse Le Gros as a competitor museum curator, and obviously the aim of the game is to beat him. However, Alphonse is not going to let himself be beaten quite so easily, so here's how he works. Alphonse has two decks of cards which belong to him. He has a small deck here of action cards and a small deck of rival cards. The rival cards basically define what it is that Alphonse is going to do, what his priorities are during the game, which cards he's going to pick up. And the action cards define exactly how many moves he plays and exactly what it is that he does. So to give you an idea, the action cards look like this. So they have a number. The number defines exactly how many cards Alphonse is going to play this round. And then some of them will also have a small number on them. This is for the expert mode, so you can see them here. The small number in the red circle defines how many cards Alphonse will discard. So there are two modes of solo mode, so I've just attempted to explain. In the easy mode of solo mode, there is no discard for the AI. So in the easy mode, Alphonse will not ever discard any cards. He won't be able to come and take cards from your discard, and you won't be able to take them from his either. In the easy mode, so there are no discarded cards, and these action cards go up from 0, so Alphonse will place 0 cards this round, all the way up to 4, which is hardcore mode, and I can tell you that that is very difficult indeed. So what makes the AI difficult from different from a typical player? What makes Alphonse different is that he cannot use notoriety cards, so you can, obviously, during a solo mode game, but Alphonse will not. In the easy mode, Alphonse has no discard. And that's about it. So other than that, the game is played completely as normal. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to play 2 rounds of the game, show you how it all works. The first turn will be easy mode, so that will just give you an idea of how a basic game of solo mode is played. And the second turn will be difficult, so this will be with Alphonse discarding cards the way that he usually would. So here we go. At the start of the game, you take your starting hand as normal, so mine is here, so I have 1 card from each continent. Alphonse's hand is here, so he also has 1 card from each continent, but obviously as he cannot use notoriety cards, either in easy solo mode or in difficult solo mode, he gets no notoriety card at the start of the game. So the real life player always goes first. You draw a patron card, as you usually would, so I have quite a difficult patron card here. In order to get my points, I have to get a civilization of 7 and a domain of 6, so that's quite a tough one. And now we're going to decide exactly what it is that Alphonse is going to do during the game, so we draw a rival card for Alphonse. This is a Mesopotamian heritage card, so this is what will define Alphonse's actions for the game. Down this side of the card, you can see there is a list of priorities. So we have priority number 1 is Mesopotamian civilization, then we have war, art and literature, we have the African continent, and then simply the card of the highest value. So when you play for Alphonse during the AI's turn, this card defines exactly what you draw for him during the exploration phase, and then what you place in his museum during the furnishing phase, okay? And then on the side of the card here is exactly which points, how many points he wins, depending on which of the objectives he is able to fulfill during the game. This pink band at the bottom of the card defines which cards Alphonse will discard should he do so in the difficult version of the game. So if you're playing easy mode, that band can be ignored. If you're playing the hard mode, then that will define in which order he will discard cards and also take cards from your discard. Okay, so here we go. As I said, the active player, the living player, goes first. So I will go straight into my exploration phase. So I am going to take, what shall I take? I'm going to take this Japanese war card. So I've done that. Now it's Alphonse's turn. Alphonse will always take a Mesopotamian card first. You can see that there's one of those on the board, so I'm going to take that for him and add it to his hand. As Alphonse has taken a card and it's not his turn, I am the active player, I get 1 prestige point, exactly as if I was playing against a real person. So Alphonse has now taken his card, which means it's my turn. So I can now start placing cards into my museum. I am going to discard a Roman card so that I can place this Indian card. And then I am going to discard this Japanese card to play this Chinese navigation card. I am also going to play a notoriety card, as the living player I am allowed to do that. I'm going to play an archaeological discovery, which allows me to take as many cards as the number of players plus 1, so in that case it's technically 3. I get to take a card, and I am going to take this one. Alphonse gets to take a card, again defined on what his priorities are. There is only one war card in the hand that I have, so Alphonse will take that one, and I will take the one remaining card which didn't interest him at all. And that's it, that's the end of my turn. So now we start the next turn in exactly the same way, so we replenish all the cards that were taken. We have a public opinion, and they work in exactly the same way as in a classic game. All the cards are back, so now Alphonse gets to play his first turn. So I'll get rid of these demonstration cards that I used earlier to show you what it was all about. And I'm going to draw Alphonse's first action card. So these are these small cards here on the side, so this is his first card. And this means that during this turn, Alphonse is going to play 2 cards into his museum, and he is going to discard none, obviously this being easy mode. So how does it work for Alphonse? Well, the turn starts in exactly the same way, but this time Alphonse gets to take a card first. So he cannot take a Mesopotamian card during this exploration phase because there are none. However, there is a war card. There is one war card currently on the board, and so he is going to take that and add it to his hand. Once Alphonse has chosen his card, I also get to choose a card, should I wish. I am going to take a card. I am going to take this Chinese card. Now, in exactly the same way as if Alphonse was a real player, he gets a prestige point because I took a card on his turn. Now, in easy mode, Alphonse can't actually spend any of these points, and he doesn't need to either in either of the solo modes because he places his cards for free. So now that everybody's picked a card, we move on to Alphonse's action phase, and his action phase will work like this. I know that he has to place 2 cards this turn, so again I look at the order of priority. I know that his first order of priority is always going to be Mesopotamian. He has 2 Mesopotamian cards in his hand, so that's what he's going to place this turn. So they will go into his museum like so. I put that around the wrong way. And there you have it, he's placed his 2 cards, and that is all that he is going to do this round. So once you've played a first round of the table, Alphonse has now finished his first turn, going back to me, the first player, so you draw a headline card in exactly the same way that you usually would, and it's as simple as that. So, instability in Europe, object cards in Europe are reduced to 1, and we continue the game as we would in a classic game of museum. For this second turn, I'm going to show you what it's like to play slightly more difficult mode. So I am going to start my turn as I usually would. So we shall remove the public opinion card that appeared last round. There will only be 1 card in Europe this turn because of the headline card, so that's normal. So what am I going to take from the board this round? I think I will go ahead and take an Indian card. It's now Alphonse's turn, so once again we follow the rules set by his order of priority on his card. There's still no Mesopotamian cards available. There are now no war cards available either. Art and literature, there are none of those either. So he will take a card from the African continent, and he will simply take the card of the highest value, which is this one. Okay, that's the end of the exploration phase. So now in my action phase, I am going to do as follows. Oh, he took a card when it wasn't his turn, so I get a point. Right, I am going to discard this Indian card of a value of 2, and I am going to place this and this card. I am also going to discard this and play this. That's it, that's the end of my turn, that's all I can do. So now we move on to Alphonse's turn. So we draw new cards as before, and once again Alphonse gets first pick of what's on the table as it's his turn. So again, we look at his order of priorities. Again, there's no Mesopotamian, there's no war, no art and literature either, so it's going to be a card from the African continent, and it's going to be the highest value, which is this 5. Okay, so that is the exploration phase over. We're now going to draw a new action card for Alphonse, and this round it's going to be 2 cards placed in his museum and 1 card discarded. So in this more difficult version of the game, we are basically allowing Alphonse to have a discard. He can also come and take from your own discard. So his turn is played as normal, but at the end of his turn, he will be able to take a look in your discard and give you one of his cards in exchange for one of yours. So he has to pay with cards first if he's able to. If he's not able to, then he will pay you with prestige points to take one of your cards. So it can be quite an interesting little mechanic to include. So here we go. Alphonse is now going to play his card. And which one is he going to take? He has no Mesopotamian left, so now he has to take war, and he will take the 2 war of the highest value. So he is going to take this one, and also try if you can to play for Alphonse in the most logical way possible. For example, he currently has an Indian war card, but he's already about to put one into his museum. It would make no sense for him to do that, so he's going to take this Celtic war card instead and place those into his museum. So there you have it. Once he's done that, he's going to take one of the cards from his hand and discard it. So this is the order of priority in which he will discard cards. And so he is going to, technically he should discard this card as it's an Inca card, so from America, but he's also looking to do literature collections. It would make no sense for him to discard that card as he needs it. So in that case, we're going to go down the line instead. He's not going to discard Europe because he doesn't have any. He's going to discard an Asian card instead. And he's going to discard an Asian card of the lowest value, which is going to be this one. So this will go into his discard. That is now the end of his turn. He is also going to now have a look into my discard to see if there's anything in there that might interest him. I do have war cards in there, and he is able, should he wish to pay, to take one of those cards from me, and that is what he's going to do. So he's going to take the card that interests him the least, which is African, of the lowest value. He will give me that card, and he will take from me this Japanese war card, which will be placed into his museum. Not forgetting that, to take one card from me, he has to pay me 1 prestige token. And that is basically how it works. You can also play solo mode with the World's Fair expansion. The way that works is at the end of Alphonse's turn. Once he's decided which cards are going into his museum, he will then decide if he can put a card into the pavilion, and then after that he will discard. Don't be fooled, it is a lot tougher than it looks. I have now played several games of solo mode, both easy and hard mode, and been defeated a few times, so it's really not easy. But that is the gist of the mechanics. Hopefully that is enough for you all to understand just about how it works. Thank you so much for watching.